If you think that the point of your tiny, puny little life on this fucking earth is to make a Series B company, I literally pity you.
What's up, guys? It's JQ, female behavior expert. I help men meet and keep their dream girl. And today I came across something interesting that I think really showcases the way that women think and really their lack of interest in understanding what really makes men tick. Our creator today, Ask Kat, is going to tell us why she feels frustrated by the dating market in her industry, which is tech. Let's hear what she had to say and then stick around because I'm going to share what this means for you and how you can apply this in your dating life as a man.
I just saw a video of a guy, presumably a tech bro, saying single until Series B, meaning that he is going to stay single until his company makes it to a Series B round. That way he can lock in while he's in the early days of building his business. If you think that the point of your tiny, puny little life on this fucking earth is to make a Series B company, I literally pity you. Building stuff is fun, don't get me wrong. And having a sense of accomplishment and fulfillment from the things that you are building in the rush of success and having more today than you did yesterday is very intoxicating and very fun. But if you think for a moment that that's the point of this whole roller coaster ride, honestly, that just tells me you have a lot of growing up to do.
Let me start. I want to give her a bit of acknowledgement because I do agree with her on that point. Dedicating your whole life to building a Series B company, while that could be exciting and could lead to good wealth, there are far more interesting things I can think of doing unless you started the company and it's something that you're personally feel really connected to. But most of the tech bros doing this are doing so because there's a potential big paycheck on the line, and that's what they're really interested in. As far as her other point though, right? She says, well, I assume that she feels frustrated by this because she's met men that have told her, hey, I don't want to get into something serious because right now I'm working on building this company and I want to wait until it hits a Series B. So let's talk about that for a second and why men would do this, because her taking what they say literally is a complete wrong interpretation of the situation. And if she understood this situation a little bit better, it would help her make better dating choices. So men may not want to move forward for a variety of reasons, and him giving this reason there could be some truth to it. For example, it could be that he wants to build wealth now and establish that as being his prior to getting into a marriage, presumably so that he could put some protections in place in case something goes wrong in the marriage. And this is in response to, unfortunately, a lot of men have been financially decimated in divorce. And so the newer generation, the younger generation of men, many of them are thinking about this ahead of time in terms of prenuptial agreements and something like that to protect their assets just in case something goes wrong. But the other reason that I think is probably more likely is that this guy and other guys like him think that once he achieves a Series B and has a certain amount of dollars in the bank, then it'll give him more options with women. So he doesn't want to make a commitment now to a girl because he thinks that once he has more wealth, that he will have better options when it comes to women. He'll have hotter, more feminine women available at his disposal. And you couldn't blame a guy for thinking this because women have been showing through their behavior that they often prefer a man who has money and will gravitate towards men with wealth. And so a lot of guys are sucked up into that energy of thinking, I just need to reach a certain dollar figure, I need to reach a certain amount of richness, and then I'll have the girl I want or the girls I want, right? And so he could be waiting to do that. The thing that she doesn't understand is that most men are open to commitment if they meet the right girl. If they meet a girl that really knocks them off their feet, they are likely to enter into commitment regardless of what else is going on in their life. So what this guy is really saying is, I'm just not that into you. I'm not into you enough that I'm going to prioritize you over getting having my company reach a Series B investment, getting this money, get in the bag, so to speak. So let's take a look at Kat for a second. Kat is single, and based on this reel, we can assume that she'd like to be in a relationship. And taking a look at her account, Kat has quite a large following at nearly 600K followers, and she makes posts about AI businesses, and she's popular for that. Huge engagement on all these posts. And you know what? She's pretty cute as well, and presumably she does well from this account, or if she has a job, I assume that she has a nice income as well. Now that could add value to a relationship, but it doesn't hold the value. A woman having these qualities does not hold value in attractiveness the same way that it does for men. A man who had this kind of following and who had this type of income would be very attractive to a large number of women. But for women, it is not the same advantage unless the guy would want to take advantage of her for that reason. Otherwise, it's going to be kind of a neutral or a more minor factor in how men view their attractiveness. Now, for a guy that is able to get together with a woman who also has a great income and a great career, that can make for an awesome relationship. And so if she's having trouble meeting and keeping the type of guys that she would want to be with, then there's going to be other reasons to look at besides that. It's not due to her lack of cuteness or her lack of success. I would imagine that lots of guys hit on her all the time and ask her out frequently. The reason that she's having trouble finding a boyfriend is likely to have to do with the fact that either one, her feminine qualities are lacking, meaning she's not as sexy or warm or caring. Perhaps she's not very domestic. She may not do a whole lot for the guy. The other possible reason is that she's just too busy growing her own company to really devote herself to a man, which is what men really want in their female partner and kind of expect. It could be that she viewed her own life is just too important for her to really devote herself to a guy, and that's making it difficult to meet a guy that wants to commit to her. And the other possible reason, which is very common, is because this girl potentially makes a large income herself. All women prefer to be with a guy who makes at least as much and preferably more money than she does. So she would be looking at the top tier of men. And the problem with that is that guys who have that level of money, first of all, they don't need a girlfriend or wife who makes a huge income. Secondly, they have access to the best looking, most feminine women. And so her competition for those men is going to be much, much greater. For example, I met a woman who was a friend of an ex-girlfriend who was a very successful business owner. And she told me that she was making about $500K per year at a time, which is amazing. However, she said that under no circumstances would she date a man making less than $1 million a year because it was important to her that the man be even more successful than she is. The problem is that woman was not only in her mid-30s, but she was also significantly overweight. And what she didn't realize is that men who make $1 million a year, A, don't need her to make $500,000 a year, and B, oftentimes can choose from the hottest, most feminine women. And so her likelihood of attracting and keeping a man with those kind of attributes is very, very low. As far as this girl's concerned, I watched a few of her videos. I think she's cute. She seemed to have a cool personality, and I bet she potentially could be a good girlfriend. She quite possibly is just looking at the wrong type of men. She may want to consider men that are not in the tech industry. I know that's her interest, but those types of men, there's a reason why they call them tech bros, because a lot of them have douchey attitudes. So she may want to consider men who are in a completely different industry. But the thing is that women, they often, because they do get sexual attention from men regularly, they rarely take the time to think about what really matters for men. If I had to guess, I would say that Kat probably hasn't spent much time thinking about what would it take for her to show very desirable qualities to a man such that a guy would be so happy to just lock her down. She probably spends little to no time thinking about that, and that's why it's difficult for her to actually find a guy willing to do so. Finally, what this means for you as men is that if you have this mentality and you're thinking that building more wealth is going to give you more options, yes, it probably will. With that said, it's very important that you learn to become good with women before that happens, or in conjunction with that happening, because if you gain money and you lack skill with women, that is not going to solve the problem. You are going to be at risk for having women take advantage of you because you haven't learned how to establish frame with them and to know whether they're being manipulative. What you want is for the woman to be head over heels, thrilled to be with you, regardless of whether you have any money or not. And so any money you do have is going to be a bonus to the two of you's quality of life, rather than a reason for her to be in a relationship. If you're watching this and you already are wealthy and you're dating, the way that you can do this and you can avoid falling into this trap is you can ensure that your money and you are inseparable from each other. Meaning it's okay to take a girl out and do something fancy with her if you have the means to do so, and it's something that you would enjoy doing anyways. But what you're not going to do is provide experiences and gifts for her that she gets to enjoy when you're not there in the earlier parts of the relationship. Because in doing so, you could set yourself up to be manipulated by her, and you want to take your time to evaluate her character. All right, guys, that's what I have for you today. If you enjoyed this video, you can take a look at either of these two. If you like this content, go ahead and get on my email newsletter to stay in touch. I'll also be hosting a retreat in the upcoming months. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. And if you'd like to book a one-on-one session, you can do so through the link in my description. Thank you, and I will see you in the next video.